Okay, today will be the inside fighting tutorial. Um, Inside fighting is probably the easiest stuff to go over. It's not, I don't think it requires a high skill ceiling. I think it requires that much skill. Yeah, it's pretty easy to use actually. So, obviously in inside fighting you want to get as close as possible to your opponent, and basically just throw shots. Inside fighters by default are tougher, and they're usually stronger than outside fighters. So you don't have to worry about getting, like, knocked out unless you're playing really stupid, but ultimately it's just a battle of attrition, and inside fighters almost always win in this range. So you can throw uppercuts to the body, which are really important, because it guarantees a stun if they land flush, and that gives you time to reposition. So I can throw a uppercut to the body and try and push Anderson to the corner. And I can always follow up with an attack straight after. Yeah, so once you get your opponent to the corner, which you absolutely should, you need to do this if you're playing inside fighting. Because the main hassle is probably when transitioning in ranges. So for example, you're obviously not always going to be in an inside fighting position, you're probably going to be transferring to that position, so I guess from the outside to counter-punching range, to mid-range, to inside fighting range. And the best way to do that is through dashes or through step rolls. So stuff like that. Or basic dashes like this. And just staying patient as well, because you don't really need to do too much. Once you get them in the corner, it's game over basically. Yeah, anyway, so once you get them in the corner, you do this through, like I said, the body attacks, or sway attacks, or any stun that allows you to hit them and reposition. I'm explaining this really poorly, but the demonstration will clarify everything I'm talking about. Anyway. This is why being in the corner is really important, because all the stuns push Anderson back into the corner and just allows me to get free hits off. And yeah, that's about it. it's really easy. Inside fighting is just like a no-brainer. Like I said before, it's the easiest style to play. Obviously use head movement when you want to close distance and range. Yeah, you can basically do whatever you want when you're playing inside fighting. It's like, it really doesn't require any skill, just throw punches and get them in the corner. And yeah, with body shots, you can just do whatever you want. Like, once you get them in the corner, like I said before, it's game over. There's nothing they can do if you're playing smart, because it's just a continuous stuns, right back into the corner, reposition. Yeah. There is a specific thing though with inside fighting, because there's actually two variations, right? So there's Ippo's range, which is traditional inside fighting, and then there's Sendo's range, which is more mid-range, around here. And inside fighting isn't exclusive to traditional inside fighters. Any character can fight on the inside, but some characters are more a better ally, I guess, like Ippo, Kamagawa, Mai. But characters like Volk are actually like super balanced. They can fight on the inside and the outside. But I'll do a separate video on balanced characters. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to go over, because I've already gone over the combat so heavily, and inside fighting is just a range difference basically. Unlike counter punching, which is more in and out, more footsies and stuff like that. There's like so much I can't speak. So much more to counter punching and outside fighting than there is to inside fighting. Yeah, there isn't a lot to go over. I'm trying to think. I don't come up with a script for these tutorial videos. I'm just going off the top of my head. I'll just go straight to the demonstration match, and then you can pick up a few things in the way I play. I guess another challenge I can think of is that you're going to be repositioning a lot, especially when you're going against a speedy type fighter or a fighter with long reach like Mashibo, for example. Mashibo repositions constantly. So, for the early rounds, you're probably just chasing them down, but when you slow them down with body attacks, and you hit them with consistent stuns, then it usually doesn't go more than like 5 rounds max. So yeah, that's about it. Like, Roni, it's just a constant repositioning kind of thing. But besides that, it's not especially difficult. Okay, I'm back. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna focus on just getting a distance for corner, closing the distance with head movement, and then I'll finish. Honestly, maybe this fight will go like 3 rounds max. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and give it the demonstration. Okay, so here I am at a distance I do not want to be at. So how do I close the distance? I move forward. Wow, it's easy as that. I use my head movement to close the distance, dodge his attacks, and on my own. So body shots in this game don't usually show much damage until like later into the fight, but it is worth investing in if the fight somehow goes the distance, because there is the stamina system. It's just not insanely clear, unless the character's like really damaged. Don't worry about getting stunned like this as well. It really doesn't make a difference. Inside fighters are always like super tough, so a few stuns doesn't mean anything. I'm playing with Kamagara as well, who's super tough. There's also no point in playing ultra defensive when you're using an inside fighter. I don't mean ultra defensive in like not using head movement. I mean ultra defensive in basically what I'm doing now, right? Where I'm in position to attack, but I'm not throwing any punches. Like, this makes no sense at all. There's no point in doing this. Just throw punches and just like pressure them as much as possible. Okay, and now we've won the fight. Okay. Do not get disheartened just because you get stunned stunned a few times when you're in the middle of a ring. That's not your that's not your ideal spot. Once you get to the corner though, that's where the inside fighting really shines in this game. Pay attention to how slow he is as well. Pay close attention to how I'm repositioning every time he repositions as well. I am repositioning myself so that every punch I throw forces him into the corner. So again, I can keep repeating that. And that's it for Inside Fighting. I'm going to continue with this fight and get the knockout. But then I'll give another demonstration with Sendo. Sendo, I do Sendo versus Hayami because it's a really good matchup to show that to show how hard it can go when you're fighting as an inside fighter against a really speedy type fighter. This tutorial is more scuffed than my usual ones because I'm eating, and for some reason I can't speak to them. So. You know, believe it or not, although I'm getting all these stuns, this is the fight you really want to fight. I mean, this is the type of fight that you're winning, believe it or not. Although it looks messy, although it looks like I'm getting stunned, Anderson's taking most of the damage. This isn't his type of fight. And I think that's just like by design, because again, inside fighters are usually stronger, tougher, and more durable. The only trade-off is that they're not that quick. But yeah, when I do my Sendo demonstration, it'll be a bit clearer in like how, although as messy as the fight looks, I'm winning. That's because I'm playing a stronger character. I'm playing the character the way you're supposed to play him, which is just pure aggression. I mean, yeah, that's kind of it. So in summary, head movement to close distance, uppercuts to the body, check them in the corner, and then throw whatever punches you want. Just make sure you're winning the exchanges. Make sure you're winning the exchanges in the corner, because obviously you want to go for the effort of chasing them down again, just to get knocked out of your ideal range. But when it comes to outside fight, when it comes to the outside range and transitioning to mid-range and then into inside range, that's the only house really. There isn't much else to it. But I'll be playing Sendo, who's a bit different to traditional inside fighters. His ideal range isn't actually inside, it's more mid-ranger. Okay, so I'm gonna go against Hayami, who is an absolute hassle to fight against, especially when I'm using Sendo, because the speed difference will really be apparent in this fight. Because Sendo's more of a mid-rangey guy, Hayami's actually really good in all ranges, but because Sendo specifically is more mid-range fighter, it's going to be very, very inconvenient to face Hayami, but I'm still going to win the fight because of a few tricks I'm going to do. But I just want to show that there's inside, and then there's mid-range inside, the different ranges there are for pressure fighting in this game. And I'm going to get absolutely destroyed in the first round, probably in the second round as well. But over time, you'll see the decline in Hayami's performance as the fight progressively gets rougher and rougher. My recommendations for playing specific characters as well is just fight the way we do in the manga or anime or whatever. We can't really do it with Sendo because Sendo can get knocked out. And for whatever reason he struggles to get back up against certain fighters. I don't know why. Like Sendo and Ippo should have like infinite knockdowns. Honestly, there's no way we should get knocked out from the first knockdown. That doesn't make sense. Like once upon a time, Ippo used to be a challenge. Now I can just like, I know I got a video coming up with me playing against him. Well, I can't speak. With me fighting him as Karazawa, and I don't know. It's kind of disappointing now. Ippo doesn't feel like a challenge anymore. Yeah, because I'm playing a pressure fighter like Sendo, I don't have the luxury of attacking from angles the way Hayami does. That's okay. Oh, because I'm using Sendo, I'm probably going to be using a lot more of the stepping attacks because he's durable enough to take the counters. Even though these type of attacks are really risky, but Sendo, the pressure fighters again, like I said, they're more durable. So it's okay to use these type of attacks at close distance more often with an inside fighter than an outside fighter. Oh yeah, this game is a bit rock paper scissors. It's like rock paper scissors with some of the matchups. I would not be able to play this way if I was fighting Saramura, for example. But Saramura, it's a pain to play a Saramura against Ippo, but I can use Miyata against Ippo with no problem. Yeah, that's kind of how it is. Certain matchups, by default, you're going to be at a disadvantage. Like Kiboshi, for example, is at a disadvantage against almost every type of fighter he goes against. But none of them are actually unwinnable. I don't think they're unwinnable, at least. Anything that isn't Ricardo, or Takamura, or Brian Hawk, or, you know, any of the S-tier characters in this game. Anything A-tier, I'd say a C-tier character can definitely be a A-tier character. But a D-tier character probably only wins against B and below. And that's if we get a perfect matchup. For example, Itagaki is like Itagaki is probably like if you were locked in, if you had like 6 coffees, then Itagaki is like B plus. If you play him on a normal day and just want to like have fun, then no, he's C2, easily C2. Characters are weird like that. Like some characters you gotta be like super focused to play as them. While other characters like Sando, you gotta be less focused. It really depends on the matchup sometimes. Like because of the speed difference with Hayami, I gotta actually focus a bit more. Otherwise I'm gonna get countered and knocked out. Hayami's really strong. You know, I don't know, I keep pausing, I'm just gonna have my random rants. But true story, the reason I've actually developed my style the way I have is because of Hayami, because of his AI. Like I've taken heavy inspiration from Hayami's AI. I honestly think he's probably one of the best characters in this game. And the way he plays as well is just like, it's really good. I'm gonna get knocked out if I do not focus, but it's okay, well. you can take risks when you're playing inside fighters anyway. I'm actually gonna shut up and focus. This is how it's going to be for the most part when you're playing against really speedy fighters. You're going to be losing certain exchanges. That's just how it is. But inevitably, I start getting closer and closer. And he'll start getting slower and slower. So it's just a matter of time, really. And then once I get him in the corner, which I eventually will, I'm really not worried about all this damage, to be honest. It doesn't really mean anything. The world used to be really frustrating, and you realize just how like strong inside fighters are. It's not really anything to be worried about. Okay, maybe it is something to be worried about. Okay, so steadily, the fight is turning into the type of fight I want, where our exchanges become more frequent, and that's just how it is. You have to be you have to be very persistent. Even though I'm damaged, I'm not taking that many back steps. I'm still pushing forward because I have no reason to take a back step. You're playing Sendo, so you really want to be aggressive when you're using pressure fighters and just close the distance no matter what, because in the end you'll win. You gotta have that type of mentality. Okay, I took a step back there, but that's only to reposition and try and get a better angle so I can force him into the corner. That's what actually one of the few times you want to take a back step, just to try and get your range right. Now what happened? What changed? Wasn't Hayami just playing the same way he's been playing since the first round? Yes, he has been playing the same way since he was playing the first round, and that's been his mistake. Okay. Although characters can fight at the inside, not all characters are inside fighters. I think that's you can see the difference now. Okay. This is a good example of this. So with Miyata can fight at the inside, but we'd never say Miyata is an inside fighter. And this is the exact same scenario right now, where the true inside fighter, Sendo, who has been getting absolutely countered since round 1, is now winning the exchanges, because he's a pure inside fighter. Every exchange has been in the inside, which is my perfect range. And now Hayami's in the corner. It's just a slow process sometimes. But how many rounds how many rounds have actually passed? Like 1, 2, maybe 3? No, it's only been 2 rounds. Wow. And for the first round, I was losing every exchange. But through consistent pressure and having faith in the character I'm using, you win. That's how it is with inside fighters. Unlike outside fighters, where you need to watch every single hit you take, inside fighters are just progression. Like, that's it, just force the pressure on them, that's all there is to it. Slugfest, like I said before, inside fighters usually always come on top, and that's because of the way they're built. And that's it, that's the fight done, more or less. Yeah, I really want to try and go more in depth with inside fighting, but I don't think I can. It really is just a really simple style to use. So yeah, this is probably gonna be a really brief video. But anyway, I hope it's useful. Um, I think next I'm gonna do a guide on how to unlock certain characters. And then I think that's basically it for all the guides, unless I think of something different. Unless I think of another guide. But yeah, anyway, I hope the video was useful.